I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
I'm Neil.
What's up, Neil? We've got Neil back.
Neil is a guy that we've done a review with before.
We have, yes. Of course, in the last one I spelt his name wrong, but I'll get it right this time. What'd you say, Neil?
Been pretty much a year.
Yeah.
Crazy how much has happened since then.
Yeah. What was the song that we reviewed together?
We did Woods of Ye Pray song.
Yes, and I like that song. I remember I liked that song. What happened?
Yeah.
Why are you looking at me like
Because you liked it. I believe it's been played in our home since.
Yes, it has. Correct. So thank you very much, Neil. So Neil, it's your birthday, man. So if you, dear listener, would like to know how to do a review with us, send us an email, vinandsori@gmail.com. We'll hook you up. Neil, you've been, do you have a Sori secret shirt or anything like that? Do you have any gear?
I do, yeah.
What do you have?
It's not on. I have a Sori secret shirt.
You sent us a picture, didn't you?
Yeah, I sent you a picture. I was in the village, around the village.
Yeah, where in the world is the village?
We're in the village.
Yeah.
Yeah, there have been a couple people who have sent us that, and we haven't done that yet. So we need to do that. Well, I wanted to send something to you for your birthday, but you already have the Sori secret shirt. Nobody wants the Middle America shirts. Everybody wants the Sori secret.
No,
shirt.
maybe maybe he wants the mug.
Maybe we should ask
not the Sori secret mug.
If I could
maybe
get you
Till We Die mug.
If I could get you a white woman in distress shirt, maybe maybe have a bunch of black people coming after.
Or a Middle America thing.
Anyway, you've got a golden ticket. Anything you want as far as merch, it's yours. Just say the word, sir.
Or
right,
send the text.
That's something we can figure out later, I guess.
Yeah, send us a message.
Yeah, seeing as how close you and Sori are.
Oh my gosh. Don't take offense to this, Neil.
Sori has Neil prioritized on her Facebook.
Pale enough as it is.
So when she pulls up Facebook, it goes directly to Neil's account.
Let me explain myself.
There's nothing to explain. Let's continue.
I was not familiar with the stuff like doing bookmarks when I first started doing it.
Yeah.
So my son taught me how to do bookmarks.
Yeah,
and it happened that we were talking to Neil at that time. And so I bookmarked it.
Sure.
So when I want to go on Facebook, I click the Facebook link. It brings me right to Neil's. Then I go there.
Right to Neil's. Beautiful. Look at that face, ladies and gentlemen. I can't compete. That's all right.
And the beard.
The beard, yeah. Great. Wow. I could just continue. Continue. Okay, so what are we listening to, Neil?
So we are listening to a doom sludgy band from Salt Lake City. They're called Subrosa, and the song we're doing is called Troubled Cells.
Okay, and then do we have the video?
Yeah. Yeah, but he's going to watch it on his end, so it's going to make for an overall better video. Oh yeah, we're not even using headphones. It's going out loud.
Headphones. Okay, so this is Subrosa-Troubled Cells. Let's do it.
All right, ready? Go. Oh my gosh.
Paradise is a lie if you're not by my side.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Wow. That's intense.
Yep.
Yikes.
Yeah, I really hope that we can
Play the whole
get
thing.
away with. I'm going to send an email to Subrosa and
See if we can
see
not
if
get
their
blocked.
record label will let it go.
Wow.
From what I understand, the video was done by a volunteer director. So in
Really?
terms of yeah,
Yeah, it's these record labels, you know, sometimes.
yeah.
Yeah, that was a pretty affecting video.
Yeah.
The issue is that when we first started this channel, there was a guy that was talking about this specific song
Oh, really?
and this specific issue. I knew it was about what we were doing to LGBT people, and I'm going to explain we in a second. Because he had lost a friend in, I'm not going to say it was Utah, but it was a very religious community, and I'm pretty
Wow.
sure his friend had. And I'd gone back, and actually it was weird because we were, ironically enough, supposed to do the song for his birthday.
Really?
Yeah.
What happened?
This was when the channel was really small. We only had like 10,000 people.
Yeah. I think I know who you're talking about because this was seeing him that individual talk about this song. I kept that in mind when I knew about it because I think I know who you're talking about because I do remember early on in the lifetime of the channel there was this individual who was asking for a reaction to this song.
Oh, wow.
So you're still in contact with him?
No, I remember his first name, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So I knew, because once he said, I had it in my head as Subrosa. So I didn't make the connection, but then when I was like, wait a second, I remember that. And then the first line, I was trying to figure out the first line, you know, kids are dying from suicide in Utah or whatever.
Yikes.
You know, anyway, I'm going to let you talk first because I'm probably going to go on a rant soon. But go ahead.
Oh, well, just a little bit of background information on the song, I guess, is, well, they provided the context, like the video itself provides a lot of context for what they're talking about in the video. In terms of the album that it's on, it's actually an outlier from the rest of the album. It's the last track on the album. The rest of the album lyrically is actually inspired from a dystopian novel called We by a Russian author, Yevgeny Zamyatin. So this is sort of more of a personal song that the vocalist, guitarist for the band brought to the rest of the band. There's actually a Vice article where they interviewed her. So, and then she provides some further context about writing the song,
Wow.
getting how to, whether or not she was insecure about putting it forward enough. I wanted to kind of get a little bit of information about it. So like, so the guitarist, vocalist is a member of the church, while the rest of the band aren't. So there was some hesitancy whether or not to bring it forward, even for, and whether or not the band to even perform it or write it together and all that kind of stuff. So, another reason why I felt like bringing this album to light, or this song to light, was that earlier last year, in the summer of last year, they announced that they were ending the band, or at least for a time. It was an amicable split, from what I could tell from what they put out in social media. But basically, it seems like members of the band kind of want to focus on other projects right now. So that was sort of what led me to wanting to bring this song forward to you guys to check out.
Mm-hmm. That's too bad. What?
You know, there's a movie about a kid and the dad's sending him to some camp, you know, to deprogram him or reprogram him, and I can't watch it. Okay, so my brother's birthday is the 26th, Neil.
Oh, okay.
So last year we released it on my brother's birthday. My sister's birthday is today, so you're locked up forever with our family. I've come to the point now where I've figured out about myself that I've seen and done enough horrors to where there are just certain things I'm not going to look at. So, for example, you know, I'm sure you've heard about that viral thing with the 9-year-old kid, and the kid's telling his mom to kill him. He wants to kill himself because he's getting bullied at school. This Australian kid, he's got dwarfism or whatever, and these kids are making his life a living hell, so he wants to kill himself. I haven't watched that video, although there's a GoFundMe for him, and
he got a lot.
They've got like
$400,000.
Yeah, I mean, the mom almost had a dead kid, but hey.
Well, that's the thing. When I saw that, I was like, well, that's good, but I mean, that kid still has. Ooh.
And that kid represents millions of kids across the planet. Right. But I don't want to stray from the main issue, which the main issue is really about how the church treats and has treated LGBTQ people.
Yes.
And this is not. We were not always like this. Is one thing. One of these days, I'm going to shoot a video about it. But it's a really. You know, it's a difficult thing when I have, now I have kids, and so I cannot imagine sending my kid off to some camp or not loving him or her we got a bunch of boys and 2 girls, not loving them unconditionally. As a parent, your kids always end up doing things. We're Christians. If you don't know, Neil knows. But if you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm not always moody, but this is just it's tough, man, because there seems to like. Here's what I'll say. Okay, as far as Christianity goes, and you guys can jump in anytime. Yeah, it's your video, Neil. Just like it's Yeah. And we were talking about this in the car. There's just this cold, hard meanness. Where that guy was talking about how the kid, it's unmanly for this 9-year-old kid to cry and want to kill himself because he's being mercilessly bullied.
Yeah.
And this Christian guy was like, it's unmanly to do that, and where was his dad? And it's like, this kid almost died. He's telling his mom to kill himself, and then they're like, well, why was the mom videotaping it? Because she's raising awareness because she realizes that there's more people, at stake than just her kid. Like, she did a public service to the world.
I'm sure that scenario has happened multiple times in their family where he's cried and, so I'm sure that there was times where she was very comforting to him or whatever, and then there was other times where she was like, this is an opportunity.
I just saw the screen cap, and because the first person that I saw it from actually was from my brother.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and my brother, he's a Marine. He said, I watched that video, man. I cried. And my brother,
Yeah.
he doesn't cry for. So it's when you become a parent, you have a kid, and you just start imagining your kid being in that scenario. And the video is real. I really, really hope we can get this video because it's these two girls, and the girl's not being treated well, and then she goes to the gate, and one gets in, and the other one doesn't. And I knew the whole time what was happening. It's like, and there's the symbolism, and it's like, well, you've got the wrong symbol, so you're out, and this one's good, so she's in, and she's expecting to get in, and then she gets the big, and it's like, wow, man, like, wow, like
Wow.
I
missed that.
Well, it's because I knew what was going on in the video because of the other guy that had been talking to me about it.
I didn't know what was going on in the video, and when I saw the symbols on them, I actually I was thinking about how artistic the moons were on them, and then I liked how they were positioned differently, and I thought like it was like representing like the differences in different types of people, but I didn't realize it was, but that it was ostracizing her as having that symbol. Oh,
yeah,
jeez.
and I grew up as a middle child, and so I had the typical middle child syndrome. Nobody loves me, yada yada yada. And the line, there beyond the windowsill lies the child that we all dread, an affront to our ease and our lassitude, a thorn in our side. How soon will she die? And it's a sort of like, we talked about this in the Albany Rose Corey discussion on the other channel.
Yeah.
Where we were talking about the irony about abortion, where evangelicals, in our mind, are rightly against abortion, but at the same time, we create a culture that almost forces these girls into abortions because of the way we treat people.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's like, oh, this girl's 15, she got pregnant, and instead of celebrating, hey, God gave you a life, she gets ostracized. She gets demonized. She gets all these titles put on her in the Scarlet Letter. And she has to choose between, okay, well, have the baby, have your kid, or get completely blocked out by your community. And one thing that was crazy is there's this guy who's a pastor, and his daughter got pregnant, and so he stepped down. And basically for the rest of the girl's life, the dad could never even look her in the eye. He resented her so much because she screwed up his standing in the community or whatever. And, there's a line there, where she's talking about, I don't need the golden banners, I don't need the embrace, and it's like the religious, I don't know if you've ever been in a religious culture, Neil, but it's a very, especially evangelical culture.
Have you ever been in a religious environment?
We discussed this a little bit last time, but my experience with religion was when I was very young, and we just, it seemed like we just arbitrarily just left it. I just remember, the way I remember it is, I think we slept in on like a daylight savings day, so we showed up late, everybody was singing, and then we just turned around and walked out and just never went back. That's how I remember it. It was, we went to a United Church, which I don't know how that translates into what denomination, but it was United Church is what I went to.
It depends. Is it UPC, Pentecostal? Did people speak in tongues? What happened over there?
It was probably something similar to like a Protestant church is what I would say. Yeah.
And I know there's gonna be some theologians that are saying, why are you saying we? These are Mormons. Mormons aren't official Christians. I get it. But
we can all agree that the church as a whole,
correct.
It doesn't matter which branch you're going to or which denomination or which whatever, they've all handled it very, very poorly.
Well, it does. I mean, if you go to a UPC church, they're going to be completely fine. Hey, come on.
That's a very modern thing, though. That wasn't really around. Nobody was taking that church anytime seriously, like back when we were kids, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Or I'm looking at my area.
They were back when we were kids. Yeah, UPC was on the right. They're called mainline denominations.
Are you talking about like the Universalist Church?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unitarian UPC.
Yeah, but not in the crew that I was rolling with.
But in our culture, and I think there's exigencies on that side too. But I just, I'm having a very hard time with the way that this group of people have been singled out. And it didn't get brought to my attention until, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. There's this blogger, Rachel Held Evans. Unfortunately for us, but fortunately for her, she's gone on to be with God now. And it was a freak thing, the scenario of what happened with her. But she was the first one to kind of bring to my attention, like, why is this group of people being singled out and spiritually assaulted? I was looking at a thing, because I'm in various forums on Facebook, and somebody was like, they were talking about Pete Buttigieg. And I have problems with Pete Buttigieg because I just think he's just a run-of-the-mill establishment Democrat, blah, blah, blah. But somebody was like, if Pete Buttigieg was pro-life, would you vote for him? This isn't a Christian forum. And people were saying no.
Really? What was their reason?
Because he's gay.
Oh, well, of course. Yes.
And it's like, let me get this straight. You voted for Trump, who is at minimum a serial adulterer, an admitted serial adulterer. But you wouldn't vote for Pete Buttigieg because he's gay? Mm-hmm. If he was pro, I was like, wow, man, like that tells me that your priority is not even about life. It's you're just disgusted by these people and you hate them so much that if this guy was to load up and say, let's save some babies, you'd still not vote for him because he's gay. Like there's something in and I was just like, wow, man. And I remember one time, because we've had lots of conversations about this and kind of to get us to where we are, to the point we are now. But I remember there was this. I'm just venting here because I'm. The video was very powerful. I'm gonna listen to this song when I take my shower, because it said a lot of what I. But I remember one time the gay marriage stuff was happening.
I was literally thinking about, I don't know if I'm thinking about the same thing you were, but I was thinking about
8, 9 years ago in Maine, I get this knock on my door. It's this kid with his dad, and he's got the thing in his hand, and he's like, hey, I'm here to talk about the gay marriage, and will you sign this thing to make sure that gays can't be married so that we can have the... I said, are you a Christian? And he said, yes. And I said, tell me something about Jesus. The kid was just kind of looking at his dad, and I was like, man, I was like, this is not our mission. Like, here you're going door to, like, as a Christian, if you're going door to door to screw with somebody's night, shouldn't it be like you're trying to tell them about Jesus? Yeah. Like, I'm like, I looked at the dad, I'm like, I've never seen your son before, not once. This is the first introduction to him, and this is what you have him talking to me about? What if I was gay? Is it cool that I live life without Jesus, but as long as I can't get married, you're good? And, he was basically like, and he left. But I'm trying to figure this out, and I'm trying to work it out. Because here's the thing. The Bible absolutely says that homosexuality is not God's design for human beings. However, it also says that excessive taxation, a lot of people don't know this. I don't know if you knew this, but it says that excessive interest, right? So charging people excessive interest, taking advantage of economically vulnerable people, is an abomination. And literally it uses the exact same word, abomination. So excessive interest, not taking care of the poor and the needy, ignoring the orphan and the widow, mistreating foreigners, mistreating the immigrant, all those things are called an abomination. And in the Old and the New Testament, same thing in the New Testament. All those passages in the New Testament says, hey, these people won't enter the kingdom. Gays won't enter the kingdom. It also says the greedy will not enter the kingdom of God. But you don't see evangelicals creating camps where greedy motherfuckers who won't share any of their money go to get reprogrammed. I mean, have you heard of one of these camps, Neil, where you send American evangelicals who are literally the richest people on the face of the planet? I mean, honestly, evangelicals are the most powerful religious voting bloc in America, and we're also the richest human beings on the face of the planet. We're in the top 1.5 percentile on the planet. Mm-hmm. So if I'm sure you've heard this if you've ever been in a church. It's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle and a rich man enter the kingdom of heaven. So you hear all this stuff where there's a lot more emphasis on how we treat our neighbors, what we do with our money, making sure that the people around us are taken care of. There's all these warnings that greedy people won't enter the kingdom of God. There's one in 1 Timothy, Neil, where Paul says that slave traders are the equivalent of people who kill their mothers and fathers. And all the Puritans owned slaves. And there's not a question. As a matter of fact, there was a rap artist, his name is Propaganda, and he made a song about the Puritans and how the Puritans owned slaves. And the response was crazy. People were telling him to shut up, this is crazy, yada, yada, yada. And it's like, there's no question the Puritans are there in heaven.
Yeah.
We're going to be shining their shoes, but your gay neighbor, he's going straight to hell. And I'm like, wow. I don't understand how these kids survive. I don't understand how kids in this context survive, and it's absolutely heartbreaking as a dad with a bunch of kids. I tell the kids all the time, I'm like, hey, you know I love you, right? And they'll roll their eyes at me and they'll, whatever, Dad. And it's like, they'll understand when they become adults. Mm-hmm. Because anytime I see a video like this or have this conversation, I go, okay, you know, we're pretty good with the LGBT stuff. If our kid showed up and said, hey, I'm gay, whatever, like, I'm sure we would knock that shit out of the park. But I'm always saying to myself, like, what if there's some blind spot I'm not seeing? So I go and I go, hey, you know, I love you, right? There's nothing that would ever, I told Dorian, I was like, you could murder 58 million people. I'd visit you in jail every week. And he's like, okay, you have problems. I was like, I'm just trying to let you know, man, I would... But it's I don't know, man. It's the worst thing in the world, man. You know, like, I think about that kid who's getting bullied. This is a terrible video. I'm just dominating the conversation. I'm sorry. I'm having a very, very hard time. I'm having a hard time. You know that kid, and he went to his mom, and I think, you know, the line at the top of the article, which made me say, I'm not looking at this anymore, was the kid said to his mom, give me a knife so I can kill myself. But he said it to his mom. And I think he knew that was a cry for help and that mom would help him through it. But who do you go to when your fucking mother and father are sending you off to some camp to reprogram you like there's something more wrong with you than your brothers and sisters and your friends at school? Yeah. Who do you go to if it's your parents that are doing that to you? And, you know, and then the lyrics here are just... Here's a child that we all dread, you know? And it's like the secret, like, not so secret resentment that religious parents have to their kid who's just not getting it right. You know, the kid who's, you know, who's making them look a certain way to their other toxic, you know.
The thing, too, is that a religious environment, a lot of times, you have to live up to a certain standard. And so when your family is not living up to that standard, then it reflects poorly on you. And if you're the type of person that is concerned about what other people think, then you can be more concerned about what somebody else is going to think about your family than the welfare of your own family. And that's really, really bad. That's really toxic. And I think that a lot of kids have been put in a lot of stressful situations because their parents were too worried about what the neighbors were going to think rather than what was actually emotionally going on with their kids. I don't know. Have you been around this type of situation?
Not myself. Like, there's parallels that you can be drawn for just, like, people, not necessarily religious connotations, but there's always going to, well, not always, but there's going to be situations where parents have certain expectations towards the kid. Like, the families are like, well, you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer, and damned if you try to express yourself in some other way than what your career path is set for you. So there's parallels that you can draw from there, maybe not to as extreme as sometimes you find on the religious side, but you can sort of see that happening elsewhere in other connotations, sort of somewhat similar. Yeah.
The numbers were pretty terrible because were they saying 7 to 10-year-olds?
Well, it's 17 to 20-year-olds, I think it said.
Oh, but it went so fast that I was like, did I...
Some of suicide is a leading cause between 10 and 17 in the state of Utah. The leading cause of death. That was 2 years ago. 10 to 17. And I think here's one of the things that is unique about Mormonism, though. Mormonism's entire religion is focused around family.
Yep.
So in
Yep, that's true.
Mormonism, theologically speaking, you're going to have a family even after this. Like, you know, in standard evangelical Christianity, it's been around for 2,000 years, is that marriage ends at death and then there's an entire new reality that we don't even know about. But in Mormonism, everything is completely centered around the family. Like, the God that they worship was once a regular person like us who populated his planet with a bunch of spirit children because family is everything. Like, that's not standard. Go ahead.
And that's why it's so devastating that with these directives, you're excommunicated from the church should you have a gay marriage or anything like that, which is absolutely devastating to them. They're given a choice between having happiness in a loving relationship or having their faith is basically what they're left to decide, and that choice just destroys them.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you've now wrecked your family's chances of achieving what they wanted to achieve in the afterlife. So you've now done this also. It's not even just your choice now. It's like your choice as a single human being for something that cannot be controlled in many cases. And I'll talk about the Kinsey scale at some point. But then now your whole family's looking at you like, bruh, you are screwing up our entire plan here. And it's not like, you know, if you get kicked out of some evangelical church because you're gay or whatever, you can go to another church. But it's not like that with Mormonism.
That's what I was gonna say.
Mormonism is like there's an entire theological construct around this concept of the family that if you're the person and everybody kind of has to work together to kind of get there, and if you're the person that screws it up, man, like, that's tough, man. That's
well, at the end of it said you're not alone.
Yeah.
Because I've heard, you know, different people that are in the types of religions where everything is so tight knit that when you leave, you're like, you lost everything because all your connections, all of your everything is within that church. And so maybe that, you know, it's one of those situations like you're not alone. Like, it may feel like you're alone, you know, if you're getting out of that situation or you're being ostracized from that community. But there are other communities, there are other people. You know, that's not the only one. It just probably feels pretty scary. It's going to be already scary if you're feeling out of sorts in your own body and feeling like, you know, you want something that the church has said is really, really, really bad, like particularly bad, more bad than other things, you know, because just talking for Christians, like, I'll see Christians, like, they go to war against, like, anything that's homosexual, but they don't really want to come out and try to talk to people at an abortion clinic or something like that. Like, they don't want to do that. But if there's a gay thing going on, they'll do some talking there. So it's like worse than...
Well, we've said this before, that the church is cool with child predators. You got some evil motherfucker that's destroying little kids, and the church protects them. That's objectively true. Am I wrong?
Not all churches, though. But...
No, not all churches. And it's not just Catholic churches, because I know right now there's going to be a bunch of evangelicals. No, that's a Catholic. No. We've experienced that firsthand. Sexual predators. Sexual predators, evil motherfuckers who have already been to jail for harming little kids. And I'm not talking about, Neil, like, oh, I was 16 and she was 13 and I didn't know. I'm talking about this guy was 28 and the girl was 9, 11. And they protected him. That's okay. I remember one time there was a gay couple in the church one time. They had the audacity to show up in our church and there was this giant outcry.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that. I wasn't even at that church, but I heard about it.
Yeah, of course. But the fucking child molester, they let that guy in and other people who were...
Yikes.
Rapists. Look, I love the church. The church is always, you know, that's my crew. I'm going to live and die with them. Right now I'm taking a big break from them. Hanging out in the middle. Well, we kind of have some church in our middle. We've got a little side thing going on with some of our folks and the atheists and the agnostics and the and the LGBT people. We fit in pretty good with them. And I'm
Yeah.
sure a lot of you religious motherfuckers right now, you're like, yeah, that's right, you fit in with them because you're from the devil.
They
Fuck you
quit
and
the
you.
video with all your cursing. That
Yeah.
ended a long time ago.
Yeah. I don't care. I'm so, and I keep saying we because I'm not separating myself from the church because it's very important to me that I don't.
Yeah, it's our crew.
We're not going to put ourselves above everybody, and if that's the people we identify with, then you got to take the good and the bad, right? I say all the time in videos like, hey, say what you want about religion, but there's a reason there's a St. Mary's hospital in every city. Well, yep, if you're going to take credit for that, then we got to take credit for the fact that we've got thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of dead gay people that we killed because of bullshit like this and not being consistent with the Bible. You're saying you're being consistent with the Bible, but if you were, you would major on the shit that the Bible majors on, like not putting kids in cages, you hypocritical motherfucker. So, I don't care. I don't care anymore, man. We got people literally... The thing is, I'm pro-life. So if I say something about abortion, I know I'm going to piss off 99% of the medical community. I don't give a fuck. If I say something about, bombing innocent people over in Syria or whatever, I'm going to piss off the right winger. I don't care. Human life should be protected at all costs, and we're doing things that are harming human beings and making their life so hellish that they would rather hang themselves than live another day in the culture that we created. And if we don't take accountability and responsibility for that, then God might as well just completely close up the shop. There's a lot of great things happening with Christianity in China. Hello! FYI, America. This is the thing about the American church that's so hilarious to me. It's like God needs us. Like, get the fuck out of it. God doesn't need anybody. Like, what are you talking about? There's awesome things happening in China, awesome things happening in Nigeria. If we can't figure this shit out in America, then, it's like he said in Malachi, close the door of the temple, get done with it. I don't care. You guys are, ugh. Anyway, sorry, Neil, to be such a downer on your birthday.
I gave you a tough one for this reason, I guess.
You wanted to see Vin go all out on it?
I'll do something happier next time.
Well, it's tough, man. I think, the other thing is I've got a couple, suicides in my family. One of them was actually LGBT. Not for this reason. She was never religious and whatever, but... And just having kids, man. It's hard. I don't think I would survive that. If my kids were so... it's terrible stuff. Anyway.
See, I feel like if one of our kids came to me, I'd probably cry. Not cry because I was upset, or angry or whatever. Just like the emotional way you'd get, okay, they trusted you with that.
Right.
That's a big thing. That's a big thing in their life, and they came to you because they trusted you with that information, and yeah, that would be a pretty emotional moment for me. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. So anyway.
That's a good reason why you talk about these issues, right? And bring them to light so that safety net or that zone of comfort is still there for them, no matter what situation they find themselves in.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
And Kinsey said a lot of crazy shit. He was crazy as hell. One of the things I agree with him, though, is he talked about the scale. And he basically, his thought process was there are very few people that are like 100% straight or 100% gay. And so his theory was that there's a scale. And, it was like 1 through 6, right? So, I think it's 0 through 6. So 0 is like 100% straight and 6 is like 100% gay. And then he said most people fall in the middle of the scale. And in my life, I've seen that. Especially with females. I think most females are 4.5, 5.
Depending on how the man is treating them.
Yeah, girls are more likely to say, I'm just going to go. And I think, so that to me, people have debates, was this person born gay? And then you'll have another guy go, no, he wasn't born gay, he chose to be gay. Well, no, if somebody's born, there are people who are born 6s 100%. Mm-hmm. Right from the womb, they're it's clear. You
Yeah,
know it.
yeah.
Like, we've all seen them. But then there's other people who are like, shit, man, I didn't. And they're, they're like a 3 or 4. And so that's my perspective on it. But either way, however you're born is however you're born. And I don't believe in, on the other side, I don't believe in making your sexuality the sum total of who you are as a person either. I think that's a very, very dangerous and
I totally agree.
A self-harmful thing to do.
Yeah.
But I think it's an overcorrection from all the rejection that because sexuality, even though it's not the sum total of who you are, it is a massive part of who you are. And so when people tell you to suppress that and blah, 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 then people are going to obviously push back the other way and say, this is all of who I am. And I don't think that that's true, too. I think there's lots of things about a human being that make them who they are. And their sexuality is just a part of it. But
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm rambling now. Nobody wants to hear me talk anymore. This is an 11 for me because not only was the subject matter important, but I think it was just a good song. I love the melodies. The melodies were great. I understand this is a sludge metal band because that's what it's saying, post-rock sludge, doom metal. But
the thing that sort of sets them off from different bands is they have 2 full-time violinists in the band. So that's sort of one of their unique aspects of the band.
So I love...
they're also really poetic lyrics in a lot of their songs.
Oh, yes.
Really strong lyrics.
Especially the way they ended it.
Yeah, I know.
There's no greater good if you're trodden underfoot. There's no greater good, which I don't agree with because of the pain that this woman picked up on, she was able to produce this song. And the irony of this line is, there's no greater good. She's doing greater good for people who don't have a voice. So that's the irony is that because she knew and probably loved people that have been victimized by this bullshit.
Yeah.
There's no greater good probably for the person she's talking about, but she's done a hell of a lot of good with this song.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So that's the irony of it.
And that line, oh my God, paradise is alive. We have to burn you at the stake to get inside. Oh.
Yeah, I'm normally not like a person who gravitates to lyrics first. I'm usually music forward.
Yeah.
But even when I was first listening to this song for the first time, that ending really stood out to me. Those lines, I'm like, what are they talking about here? And then that sort of led me down this rabbit hole.
Wow.
It's brutal, man.
Yeah.
And then the irony of Christianity is like, we are telling these people to sacrifice their kids so that they can get into the church, when the entire message is that God sacrificed himself so that we could get in. The sacrifice has already been done.
Yep.
And that's the point of all those crosses that guy made at the end, was that you crucifying these kids and these families in a religion where you're saying the crucifixion happened 2,000 years ago.
Yeah, wow.
So even if you want to say that homosexuality is the worst thing in the world, Jesus died for it. And the message is, you fought... man, if you're gay, straight, what do you call it? Trans... a nasty fucking banker who has destroyed the lives of thousands of people with your predatory capitalism, if you're one of these people that hates immigrants, if you're one of these people that just shrugs your shoulders when we bomb the hell out of these people who've done no wrong and no harm to us and pose no threat to us, all of this shit, like, man, just follow Jesus the best that you possibly can and leave the results to him and do whatever he tells you to do. Period. That's the message. That's the message. And I'm sorry, I know a lot of people, people always come out, oh, you're compromising. I am not compromising. The fact of the matter is, all of us have shit that the Bible says is abominable. And why we give a free pass to one group of people and not to others, I'll never understand. But if you're gay or whatever, I don't have any right, nobody does anybody else. All I can tell you, follow Jesus, do whatever he tells you to do, and fucking close your eyes and your ears to anybody else that tells you anything different. I'm not telling you to just dispense with the Bible. That's not what I'm telling you to do. But just like I would say, if I ran into a rich Wall Street banker who has built his 9 mansions on the backs of very poor people, and finally he finds Colossians, and Colossians says that the greedy won't inherit the kingdom of God, or 1 Corinthians 6, it says the greedy and slave drivers, which, by the way, predatory capitalism is a form of slavery.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
So look, I'd say to him the same thing I tell everybody. I'd say, yeah, man, that's fucked up. Just follow Jesus, believe he died for your sins and rose from the dead, and do the best you can to follow him, and he'll make it all right, and we all sit each other down at the table. And anyway, I think all this is going to end well. So that's the moral of the story. Follow Jesus the best you can, and
At least that one ends well. I just realized I wasn't recording on this, just that.
stop killing people. How about that? Okay.
I don't have Neil's face.
Do we have his audio?
Yeah, I have his audio. We're gonna have to just put a picture on for Neil.
Oh, well.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, Neil, very, very good song. I really appreciate it. Thank you for bringing it to my attention. I know I was moody. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
I'll send you some merch.
If you want that link to that interview Vice did with the songwriter, I can shoot.
Yeah,
that
you
over
can
to
send
you,
that. Yeah, for sure.
Send that shit immediately, please.
Yep.
Email or whatever. We can
Yeah,
figure
send
that
it, and then we'll have that.
Send it on Messenger.
We'll have that as the first.
Okay.
We'll have that as the first link, guys, so you can look at the interview, so she can go more into it. I'm gonna take my shower and listen to this song on repeat, and drink some of my.
Well,
iced tea.
so for me, I was gonna go with like a 10, but I'd bump it to an 11 also because I do think that it's so important, and it's heartbreaking that these things are actually happening, and that there are kids even at this very moment that are in the situation where they're thinking to themselves, it's better that I die than I have to live in this type of condition and affect my family in this way. And the way that they were talking about her, like being under the stairs and when is she just going to disappear, the fact that you can, by your own religious and self-motivated piety, treat somebody in such a way that they feel that it's better that they would die is so sick, especially that it's your own kid. So because of the gravity of the situation and the fact that right now it's going on and that it has increased is so horrific that I have to say I would, I was actually going to give it a silent count, but I'll give it an 11 because I think it's super important. So you're not alone. And you never will be, and there are so many like-minded people out there that could be outside of your group that you're used to. There's safety, and there are friends out there. Sometimes you got to search a little bit to find them, and you might find them in the most surprising places. I have found a lot of, I guess you could say, safety and friendship inside the metal community that I never thought was possible because I just thought, oh my gosh, that was like a devil environment. So definitely open your eyes to new things and never think that that's the option and that's the only way is to kill yourself, because it's not.
And if you're a gay-hating, fearful, anti-LGBT person in the church, I still love you. But only because I have to.
Oh my
Vin
gosh.
out.
Sori out. Wait,
Yeah.
Neil, did you have anything else to say?
I'll give it a 9.5 for me.
Yeah.
I just really like the music, how it builds to that crescendo.
Yeah.
Really gives you the punch that the lyrics need to deliver, and yeah, it's just it's got that vibe that I generally gravitate to when I listen to. I'm seeking this sort of sound.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
So 9.5 for you. 2 11s here.
Vin out.
Sori out.
Neil out.
Gone.